Kia ora and welcome to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Luke.
I'm Joe.
This week we're drinking a beer from Sprig and Fern, Norty Porter. Have you had this before, Joe?
I have had this before, yeah. It's been around quite a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, they've done a few rebrews. I don't know when it would have been sort of first released, but that most wonderful thing, mixing chocolate and dark beer. Just a absolute winner. I suppose it's like the genius that decided to put grapefruit in IPA for the first time. It's kind of a natural thing. Cheers.
Cheers.
To supplement the lovely, I suppose, rounded body and warm chocolatey notes of a stout and a porter with some actual real chocolate. And this has got a lot of cacao nibs?
Yeah, cacao nibs, and obviously a lot of those darkly roasted malts. So giving you those kind of dark, like deep burnt toffee, chocolate kind of aromas and flavors, and then just that massive whack of cacao coming through as well.
And that is the nice thing about just differently malted barley, that you can get all manner of flavors just from the pure grain. So the base beer, even without the nibs, would have been a very chocolatey tasting beer anyway, and then just a fun thing to really elevate it with the addition of real cacao nibs. And I remember, maybe I've talked about it before, but I remember maybe 20 years ago when sort of the craft beer thing was kicking off in Britain, and sort of Brewdog was starting and American beers were getting imported, and the first beers that had these adjunct flavors like grapefruit I just mentioned, or like putting chocolate in a porter, and quite a few drinkers were a bit snooty about the idea of adding an extra flavor, because they were like, well, you're not going to put apricots in your Chardonnay. You just want to create those flavors with the actual ingredients. But people seem to have forgotten about that, which is great, because it's one of the rules.
It was sort of viewed as a crutch for a bit, wasn't it? Like, you can't make it taste good without adding, juice or chocolate or something like that. But
there's only so far you can actually go with the basic ingredients of beer, right?
But as we always say, adjuncts have been used for centuries in beer, right?
Oh, for as long as there's been beer. So beer wasn't the same four ingredients 6,000 years ago. The Mesopotamians and the Egyptians and the people in the Fertile Crescent, they'd be using like millet and all kinds of different grains, really, whatever they can get their hands on. And they definitely weren't using hops. It would have been all kinds of botanicals. But we're not here to have a chat about Groot. We're here to chat about Sprig and Fern. So quite a unique brewery in New Zealand, I think, for various reasons. You love having a chat with Tracy. Yeah,
they're pretty widespread with their brew pubs, but sort of centered around that sort of upper north, South Island, I believe. Yeah,
they're in Nelson, of course, sort of in the heart of it. Well, in Richmond, but heart of the hop growing area, and a lot of venues around there. They opened a venue briefly in Auckland, but I think that was only open for like less than a year. So maybe they'll come back one day. But I think they've got a couple in Wellington, perhaps.
Yeah, I've definitely seen one in Wellington.
Yeah, and they're I think they're almost all run as franchises. So very cool business model, and kind of surprising you don't see more breweries doing that. And that's similar to the business model that's been going in Britain for centuries. And having sort of tied houses and tenants and et cetera, et cetera.
I suppose it's a very British pub name, Sprig and Fern, isn't it?
British founded brewery, really. With the founders moved to New Zealand from the region around Liverpool, and deciding to bring some of their brewing knowledge to New Zealand quite a few years ago. Tracy worked in brewing, was a brewer and a brewery scientist, and doing various jobs at several really important real ale breweries before moving to New Zealand and eventually kicking off Sprig and Fern. And Tracy's a very big deal, like a real superstar, because you're going to get her on the video, but she wasn't available, right?
Yeah, we're going to see if she could record a little video to supplement what we'd say, because, as you say, she's a big deal. It'd be great to hear from her and hear her sort of thoughts on this beer and give us a bit of the history of it. But yeah, she's jetting off all corners of the world, judging and.
Well, I think she's just been at the is it called the Beer World Cup, like the big one in the States. And I think at the moment she's in Australia with a whole bunch of New Zealand brewers. It's they do a thing called Pint of Origin. So there's a whole bunch of awesome New Zealand beers pouring over in Australia over the next week. And also it's the IBA Awards. So I believe she's judging over there. So yeah, as well as being a fantastic brewer, business person, a very highly regarded beer judge, which can't be said of every brewer. They're not necessarily the same skill set. Your sense of smell and taste and if you're a good brewer does not mean you're good at judging beer necessarily. Two kind of different things. So yeah, quite an icon in our industry with, and I think we've talked about before things like Tracy brewed the first fresh hop beers in New Zealand when she was brewing at Max. And has been worked closely with the hop farms on introducing lots of interesting new hops, etc.
Yeah, and this is very different to two of the dark beers we've had recently, isn't it?
Yeah, so we had the Cascadian IPA, dark IPA from Croucher, bang in, and the really hoppy American Stout from Altitude.
So this is definitely more on that sort of British dark beer profile, isn't it? So you got that kind of real roasty character, but a nice soft kind of bitterness, whereas the American stouts are a little more aggressively bitter, and I guess slightly bigger in body. I think British porters are often a little easier on the mouthfeel.
Yeah, and obviously this isn't a cask beer. It's carbonated, it's in a tin can, but it definitely has its roots in real ale and historic English porters. And which are generally in lower ABVs. So this at 5 is a little bit bigger, but nowhere near the pastry stouts and dessert stouts that we see a lot of around the place these days. Which is cool, getting really big flavours into a 5% beer, so you can actually have a couple. It isn't something you need to sip over an hour and a half and nurse. Very well put together beer. Good structure to it. Really good integrated flavours. You're getting close to no bitterness, really.
No, not very bitter at all. And I suppose, we pulled it out, an hour and a half ago now?
Yeah.
And our chiller's a warehouse. It feels like a chiller right now. It's probably at about 14 in here, I'd say. So, sort of
cellar temperature.
Yeah, sort of sitting around that 10 to 12, just opens it up lovely.
Yeah, you don't want to drink this too warm. The same as eating chocolate, if you're too cold rather. The same as eating chocolate. When you get chocolate out of the fridge, it kind of tastes like nothing. Some people are into that, but people are also into
don't.
All kinds of suspect things. You're wrong if you like beers like this out of the fridge. Let it warm up a little bit. You'll taste so much more. What food would you pair this with?
Sort of anything, pub grub. Burgers.
Yeah.
It's light enough that it can go with. I wouldn't eat it with fish or anything, but
cottage pie. Yeah,
light enough to go with sort of light foods and heavy enough to stick up to like roast beef and gravy and things like that.
Yeah, bangers and mash.
Yeah. Sort of hearty, filling foods. That's what this beer makes me feel.
Yeah, as we're edging closer towards winter and feeling a little bit wintry. Good beer for cooler evenings. All right. Any other news from us?
NanoFest this Saturday. Not really news. We've talked about it twice now. But the tap list is finalised. Kegs are arriving in the boots of cars because our blessed nano breweries like to save money and drive up from Raglan instead of putting it on a courier.
Oh, and a lot of these smaller breweries, they don't ship kegs around the place.
No.
Like most of the kegs that we're pouring are single kegs, or the only kegs that would have left the brewery or their region. So we're not talking about line and TB, just huge infrastructure. A lot of them probably don't even have main freight contracts. No. So very cool to see all those arriving here, and they're all being teased out through the Fridge and Flag and social media, so you can see what's going to be pouring. But come along from 12 o'clock on Saturday. It's going to be brilliant, free entry. Very good times.
And is next Wednesday the Friends quiz?
We've got a Friends pub quiz coming Wednesday 15th.
If you're one of the people that watch this video, and then one of the people who also loves the TV show Friends, then you will be glad to know we do a Friends pub quiz here every now and then. So we have a Friends mega fan.
Yeah, good old Sean.
Yeah, writes an amazing quiz. It's going to be all different questions. So if you came before, then you should come again. And yeah, that should be a great evening.
And it's Mother's Day on Sunday, so your mum probably wants some beer. So you can order some from us. We'll ship it fast on overnight delivery, and you can also choose to click and collect and come and pick it up here at the Fridge and Flagon. We'd suggest the floral and fruity mix box of Small Gods beers that contains Love and Idleness, that's made with a lot of flowers, and also Amra Prema that has more than half a mango in every single can. It's a really lovely little mixed 6-pack, which is like not much money whatsoever. Good option for the mums. Thank you, Sprig and Fern. Thank you, Tracy, for being a legend. Thanks for joining us and drinking along with us. And thank you, Joe.
Cheers.
Cheers.